Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the Bold Blueprint. I am excited to have you here, and I'm lost for words because I think this is so new to me that meeting people out of the randomness of starting a podcast made me just feels giddy to have a conversation that you don't expect to have a couple hours ago. So welcome.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. We connected through a Facebook group, and it sounds like you've been getting a lot of response from that. So I'm excited for you and this journey that you're on.
It's been very overwhelming in the best sense. I got so many response. I just put that message out and I did not expect to get so many people to answer back to me. I think
hmm
that the fact of what would you say to your younger self or how do you build your house really call out to a lot of people? And what was that thing, the bumps in the road that you had that people were like, me? And so everybody just reached out and you're one of the first ones that I interview, so thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Sarah, tell me, how do you got here?
So I have been in the pod world for about 5 years, maybe, well, almost going on six now. A couple different podcasts that I've been involved with. I was a co-host of Bird in the Hand podcast. So for any of my family that's probably going to listen to that. They were loyal followers of Bird in the Hand. And then now I'm co host of the Living Understaffed podcast. So I also am in those groups and looking for certain guests along the way. I am also a virtual assistant to a couple people. And so I book podcast interviews for those people too. So I'm kind of immersed, if you will. And I also do like the editing and the marketing and all that stuff for our pod, and it's one of the best communities and the best hobbies I have ever had. And I do not see myself slowing down with this for a good long while.
That is amazing. I feel like sometimes you end up in a world that you did not expect at all. And it's kind of like the best
Yes.
turnout that you expected. And you're like, I was called out to do this. Why
What is
did it take
what
me
is
so
happening?
long?
Yes. Yeah. It's great because I mentioned it earlier when we were chatting, but the ADHD level of my adulthood is 100% collecting hobbies throughout my whole life. And there's been a few hobbies that have stuck around. Like I'm a crafter, so I do a lot of sewing and cross stitching and crocheting and that kind of thing. But podcasting has been, not only have we met incredible people from all over, but we've had some really deep, meaningful conversations and things that have really resonated, not only with me, but from some of the followers that we have, messages that we get sent in from people that are like, I am so glad that you talked about this out loud because I haven't had the wherewithal or the mental capacity or even just the initiative to have this conversation out loud. So it's really it's one of the best things that I have ever done.
Sometimes it's bringing out that thing that you were keeping to yourself and you weren't able to talk to the people around you because it's not that it's not safe to talk about, it's just that you don't have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, um, because to get to a journey that you're so certain and happy into it, there is somewhere along the road that your brain comes out and there's we're not happy here. What was that moment for you?
There has been a few moments throughout, even just in my 30s, there's been a few moments that I've been like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Like whether it's where I'm standing or mentally in whatever fog it is or whatever depressive episode it is. It's like, what why am I here? And I think that in the past, like with different therapists that I've worked with, different people that I've met, different experiences that I've lived through, the I don't want to say emotional maturity, but like the emotional awareness of, hey, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. One particular example was going through my divorce a few years ago. I knew that this person was not going to be the rest of my life, which is really sad because when you are in a relationship with someone and you're committed and you're loyal to them, this is that is the whole point, right? Like sharing a life with them and going through the ups and downs and going through the hard stuff, going through the illnesses and all that. While going through my divorce, one harsh realization that I had with myself is that I lost music. And I listen to music constantly. Absolutely constantly. It is always on. I'm either singing to myself or humming something or listening or it's on the speakers or in my car. It is constant. And I realized about 3 or 4 months after the divorce was finalized that I was like discovering new bands and new music on social media or Spotify and knowing that like I haven't done this in a long time. And music has always infiltrated my life. It's always been a part of my life. And I realized for the probably last 3 or 4 years of my marriage, I had not discovered anything new. I had not listened to a new musical. I hadn't sought anything out. I hadn't like, that algorithm was not a part of my life, if you will. And so that was one of those moments that I was like, whoa, I was deeper in whatever you want to call it. If it was, I know part of it was depression, a lot of anxiety, but you know, if I had lost like one of the core things of my personality, of my soul, then like I've got to dig out of this. Like I have to focus more on the self-care piece of my brain and really focus on like what is the next 10 years going to look like? What am I going to look like? What do I need to do to be a better self? And music was one of those things. So I am a terrible singer, 100% sing concerts in the shower and in my car and for the people that are like in my direct vicinity, especially at the grocery store. I don't care, but like music is just one of those things that I feel something with, whether it's sad day, good day, bad day, down day, whatever it is. I feel with music, if that makes sense.
Totally. I It's like you realize that a core part of you, like a piece of you was missing.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how I felt when I was in my 20s, and then one of my best friend told me this, and I didn't pay attention at the time. I was like, "You're losing yourself in this boy drama that you're not writing anymore, you're not reading anymore." And I was like, "It's okay, I'll go back to it."
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, I was like, "Geez, why didn't you, like, shake me out of that?" And
Yes.
she was like, "I told you, you didn't listen." I was like, "Fair,
You.
fair, fair." Do you feel that I know mental health for women, it's a big, tender, sensitive subject, and sometimes we end up in those situations because it was old patterns that were repeated. Do you feel that your mental health declined because the relationship couldn't sustain it, or was something else going on that you say that there was a disconnect?
From a mental health perspective, I think that I have struggled with depression and anxiety for a long, long time. And for a while, I was on medication for both. And I didn't like the way that it made me feel. And I know it's possible to, adjust medications and try different approaches for these, you know, conditions that we're living through and living with. Am choosing still to be unmedicated and really like go through the motions. I I have mixed feelings on that specifically, but that's a me thing. I do think that my relationship played a role in some of the downs, definitely some of the ups too. Like we did have a lot of really good times too. I'm not going to discount that. But the mental health struggle in not feeling supported, not being supported especially while you're going through the downside of things is a really heavy realization to go through. And on the flip side, for someone who does not experience depression I don't know if he ever would consider seeing a therapist on his own and discovering that for himself, but it is really hard to explain the way that you experience depression and how you're feeling to someone who does not. I have a really good friend of mine, actually someone who recommends music to me all the time. He has never experienced anxiety and he was dating someone, I don't know, a couple years ago and reached out to me at one point because we had a pretty good episode on our show about anxiety in general. And he said that he had never experienced anxiety the way that we had talked about. And his then girlfriend had severe anxiety. And how do you explain how you're feeling to another person who doesn't experience the same things. So yeah, I do think that my relationship played a role in that. And now going through therapy in my adulthood, realizing that there are a lot of things that I'm trying to heal and grow through, even from my own childhood, has been extremely difficult because obviously I'm healed and I don't, need any help, but also I need so much help. And, just different things that I experienced as a kid. But then, like, my biological mom was not the most kind person growing up, and she passed away last year. So one of the things has been, for me anyway, and I'm still going through it. Jesus, I'm going to cry already. It's like 5 minutes in. One of the things that I've really been struggling with is grieving the childhood and the parents that I should have had. Or, if I had been adopted, or if I had, I don't know. I had a few different families growing up that really took me under their wing and like looked out for me. And, what if I had just moved in with them? Like life would have been quite a bit different. And I think that, yeah, I think that especially the first few months after she passed, that realization of knowing that I was grieving a relationship, Jesus, a relationship with my mom that I'll never have. And I have relationships like that with other people's moms, but it's not the same feeling. And I feel a little like jealous sometimes when and it's not that I would want that taken away from them, but I feel a little jealous sometimes of even my oldest sister. She has a really good relationship with her biological mom. And I get along well. I get along better with her biological mom than I do with mine. And that like hurts. Like that's truly not a fun feeling. So, God.
I feel for you. I say that I had a lot of moms and dads surrounding me throughout my life. I always consider some of my uncles and my aunts as paternal parents to me because they were there through the hard things that I had to live through. And it's not that now that I can see the bigger picture and the hurt and everything that my parents went through or had to live through, I can see some of the things, but it doesn't take away how you felt and how you experienced that. That you're still
Yeah.
grieving somebody that wasn't present for you, or you didn't get the relationship that you deserved or you
Yeah.
needed at the time.
Yeah. It's also not an easy conversation to have. I even have siblings that did not experience, like they didn't have the same type of experience. And so even trying to talk to those siblings who dealt either with their stepdad or my stepdad or our biological mom in different capacities, it's even difficult to have those conversations with them because one of my siblings, he and I have become really good friends in the last like 5, 6 years, maybe 7 years now. But like growing up, we were not tight. We were not close. We like didn't really care for each other, didn't really care in general. And he had experiences that he lived through that I had no clue about, that I had no recollection of it. I had no like awareness of it. And I'm like, and that's heartbreaking, because he lived through that alone. I couldn't help. I couldn't be there. And say vice versa. Like after he and one of my sisters moved out, I was at home by myself for years. And like there were things that I went through that I would really like to not have to remember anymore. And that's just not how that works. Unless that's like the double-edged sword of like going through therapy and trying to heal and trying to like break through those generational barriers. And it's like, in order to heal, I have to work through it and experience it like mentally, physically, emotionally. And on the flip side, experiencing it physically, mentally, emotionally is really hard. So here we are, just going through the motions.
But it's also having the grace to say, like, I know a lot of people say, I wish I didn't have to go through that, but it's the grace to say, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
the person I am today. because of
Correct.
it. And it
Correct.
gives you so much strength to realize that it may not have given you the tools that you needed, but it gave you something different. It gave you resilience, it gave you grit, and you are showing up for yourself now. You
Yeah.
are breaking out of that cycle of trauma or heartbreak, and you're seeing things that you wouldn't want another person to live through.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I
It's
feel that.
it's hard. I would say that it's like when you meet people who are going through the motions of their own processes, their own, family stuff, their own whatever it is, I do feel like I have way more grace for pretty much anyone that I come into contact with. And that also is like when you're sort of aware of the grace that you're giving other people, it does also make it difficult to realize that that same amount of grace might not be handed back because they're not thinking about those things or they're going through their own stuff and whatever. So it's like it's difficult across the board, you know?
And it's also like, I think it is somebody that is very hard with themselves. Like, I don't give that same amount of grace to myself. I have to rewire my
Yes.
brain and have that self talk and say, you did go through that. It's okay to acknowledge you did go through that. And it's okay to say,
Yes.
you're okay, you're safe, and I'm sorry you went through it. And being nicer to
100%.
yourself. Whereas, like, sometimes I just got myself saying, like, you're so stupid. And I was like, wait, whoa. Like, we need to be
Yep.
kinder to ourselves. So
Yes.
it's a rabbit hole that is worth every penny, I will say. I think like when you realize what you went through and how you are now, it's like seeing the bigger picture of your life. And I said this a couple years ago, and I was like, I want to be the woman I look up to because I can look back and change
Yeah.
what I received and
Yeah.
give something different out of me. It
Yeah.
doesn't define you as a person. It doesn't define you as a woman. It doesn't define you as a daughter or as a sister. It just gives you the opportunity to become a better version of you.
Yeah. It's like, have you seen that meme on socials that's been circulating for a while that says, like, women in their 30s and 40s, how does it feel to hold the hand of your younger self and like pat them on the head, like, see, we could do this? And I was like, uh, I love that, but also true. Like, I
Yes.
feel like I'm becoming more authentic with myself. I'm being more real and more open with the people around me. And I try to reflect on just like either what the last 10 years or even the last 20 years looks like and like where I was mentally and how I was like, oh, I'm always going to be 20 and I'm always going to whatever. But I was so dumb when I was 20. Like so ridiculous and I mean, not all terrible decisions, but like I'm much more cognizant of like essentially, yes, I'm more cognizant of the consequences that come when you're making particular decisions, but I'm also it's a mixed bag. I'm more aware of what potentially could or could not happen making different decisions, but I'm also less fearful of the outcome, if that makes sense. Whereas before
Definitely.
it was more I didn't fear making the decision. Now I'm more looking at like what the outcome could be and I fear that less because I'm more equipped to go through the motions to get to whatever outcome it is.
I
That make
realized that
sense?
people that, yes, it definitely does. I think I was like people that went through trauma or a difficult childhood or a difficult adulthood or had a bump in their lives. And that's how I see it is like you were in autopilot because you didn't have enough tools, that you were just surviving. And so you had like
Definitely.
blinders on. You were going through life with blinders. Like the rest of the world was not, you were not self aware of it. And
Yeah.
one day the switch was flipped and like the walls just broke down and you're like, holy, like,
Whoa.
I did not know that all of this existed. Like, how did I not know? And I think,
Yeah.
like, you were talking about therapy. I imagine that therapy was something that you discovered later on in life, or maybe you had therapy when you were younger. But I feel like at this point in my life, like I'm 30s, like I know in my 20s or my, it's like I was reading a book, it was like almost 30, and they were talking about like how you get hit by your Saturn return when you're 28, 29. And I feel like that's basically what it was. It's like you're
Yeah.
trying to figure more ways to center your nervous system, calm your nervous system, and find peace because, like, I realize, like, I don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of people. I don't want to be in big parties or I love to dance, I love music, I love concerts and all that stuff, but I feel overwhelmed when I'm surrounded by a
Mm,
bunch of people. I I
yeah.
want the peace, I want the calm, I want like the friends dinners or like the picnics at the beach, or like the hikes. I want connection more than being like overwhelmed and oversensored by anything else. I need my nervous
Yeah.
system to be centered. When something like riles me up, I just want to go home. I don't want to see anybody. Like, don't talk to me. I am on D&D. I do not exist. Sometimes my friends are like, "Are you alive? Are you okay? Do you need anything?" I was like, I, I just needed a minute. I just needed a minute. I was like, I
Yep.
watch a show all weekend. I'm good. I'm back. Maybe tomorrow will be another discussion, but right now I'm alive.
Yes. It can be a struggle because your nervous system being chilled is so, so important, like lowering your cortisol levels and lowering those stress levels, but also the awareness of your own emotions and being overwhelmed or overstimulated. I'm really glad that you have that like wherewithal. You have that awareness where you're like, I have to check out, I have to go home, I have to take care of myself. Whereas there are, some people out there that they're just going to push through and do what they got to do to get through whatever particular thing it is. And you have figured that out about yourself where you're like, I have to check out. Like I have to go. So I mean, that's good because you could also be still torturing yourself. I mean, and there's going to be instances where we are overstimulated and overwhelmed and we can't leave. We don't have that option. But the fact that you are aware of it is so good. It's so good.
I would go to the parties, like, and I will be there for a couple hours and I would look at my friends and she see my face and she's like, "Go home. I love you. I'll see you later." I'm like, I was present. I made myself known. I'm
Awesome.
good.
Right. You
But
put in the effort.
exactly. But I think I've always known that about myself. A lot of people have reproached that to me and it's like, "You're not very present." I was like, it's not that I isolate myself, it's more that I do not do well in situations where people are going to be overstimulated. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've realized that I'm more of a like introvert. I'm a homebody. I became a
Yeah.
homebody. During my 20s, I was working in restaurants. I was out until 5 in the morning. I will do
Yep.
another shift the other days. That was my life for a couple of years. And when I moved here and I met my partner, I became a homebody. I didn't have any friends in per se. He was my best friend. And I
Mhm.
was going through a lot of things that I had to deal with. And a couple years back, I was like, I have to put myself out there. I have to find something that really like calls me out.
Mhm.
And I started having friends, but they know that I get overwhelmed very easily. They're like, we're good. And I was like, I have canceled more plans. I love you guys, but I have canceled more plans because I know that I have a sense of hypersensitivity that I will
Mhm.
be getting overwhelmed or oversensitive. And if something is already going on, I will not be a present person.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good to have people in your circle that are like aware of that. Because also I think that for me personality wise, I feed off of other people and I really like pour a lot of energy into other people and like sort of like fill my cup with particular interactions with either friends or going to the salon and interacting with people or whatever. But also I am really happy being home in my bed, chilling watching Netflix or napping, and it's like one of the best feelings ever. For me, it's like a form of self-care when I can separate myself and sort of use that time as recharge or sewing or reading a book or basically whatever I want that isn't necessarily task oriented. I'm very guilty of if I feel like I'm rest and I'm not being productive, then I feel guilty about it. And that's not how rest is supposed to work. So I mean, I appreciate the introvert part of you because you know that there's only a certain amount of you that can like go out and interact and be in public or crowds or whatever. But for me, I have to figure out how to find like that happy balance where I can still interact with people because I do need that. Like it's like a form of food for my soul, if you will. But I also need to have like that balance of home, shut the door, turn off the phone, recharge also.
I one of my friends did a podcast and she had a guest on it and they were talking about human design and I was like, you need to explain to me what this is. I've never heard of it. I didn't know. And I did the test and I am a
Yeah,
creator. And
love
one
it.
of the things for creators is like, if you don't feel it, you cannot do. There's a lot of people that
Yes.
like to dabble with a lot of things. I think many gens are like that. They like to do a lot of things. And when I was reading the human design for me, it was like, if you don't have the yes gut feeling, you're not doing it. You're just not going to be in it. And I was like, this makes so much sense. And also, I am a Leo. I like to be this kind of like the center of attention, but I'm like, this is too much. Like, I will retreat. I need to watch Game of Thrones. I will see you in a couple days.
For sure. Also, Game of Thrones baddie. Love that.
Okay. One of my friends, when I was in college, she was like, you need to watch Game of Thrones. I was like, spears, men fighting, girl, I don't want to see it. And she was like, you will thank me
Yes, you
later.
do.
And one day I was like, I didn't have work and I was like, okay, let me watch it. I watch. At the time, I think it was like when season 5 was going out. I watched the 4 season in less than 2 weeks. She was like, what the hell happened to you? I was like, why you didn't tell me about
Game
this
of Thrones.
before? I was like, are you crazy? It's like, you've changed my
Ah,
life. It's like, these people are crazy. I love it.
it's so good. It is so good. And like I know that it's such major hype. It's sort of like when like Sons of Anarchy came out, right? And everybody was like
I have
crazy
not
obsessed with
watched that.
it. Okay.
I am a
I
supernatural girl. I have watched Supernatural so many
listen.
times.
I have watched Supernatural. I'm not even going to admit how many times. Same thing with Charmed. I
Oh,
have watched Charmed start to finish 100 times. The original season, not the new.
yes, yes, yes.
The
I'm
new one is
sorry.
good, don't get me wrong, but the original
Yeah.
one is amazing.
It was tacky as hell, but it was very good.
So tacky, so good. I will die on that hill. But not Game of Thrones, but Sons of Anarchy. If you like the chaos of Game of Thrones, you're gonna like Sons of Anarchy,
I
and you're
just
welcome in
finished
advance.
Animal Kingdom and I did not expect the end.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
I will not spoil it for anyone, but I was like,
No,
it took me so long to get into season 6. So long. I will say like more than 2 years because I binge watched. Okay, I have to say this. I am a TV show girl. I will
okay,
I was born in 1995. I love a good show. I will spend a whole weekend binge watching. I have no
correct,
shame in it. I love
correct.
books, but a good show is a good show. I have started so many shows and left them be like, what the hell is this? When I started Animal Kingdom, I was like, this is my kind of crazy. This is my kind
Uh
of
huh.
crazy.
Uh huh.
Season 6, I was like, what is going on? Why? Why is this so hard to watch? I had to speed through the last episode. And when I watched the end, I was like, you guys did me so dirty. This is not even
Hundred
fair.
percent. Hundred
This is
percent.
not even fair. I was like, I knew he was sneaky, but that was another level. Man,
That's so funny.
no. They will be forever my first loves. I will love
Yeah.
One Tree Hill forever, but Supernatural, if you hear the song, you will hear me sing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
I am that
partner is
way.
like, you're such a emo. I was like, yes, and I love it. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome, actually. It makes our partnership more interesting. You're
It's
welcome.
like sometimes you are what you are. I was like, I will be forever that dark period of my life. I had
Mhm.
spiked hair. I had like the fringe because
Absolutely.
that story is like forever in the books because my mom took so many pictures of me at the time. But I was like, bring me to the horizon. Escape to the Fade will be forever on my
Yes.
playlist. It's just a thing. I look like a whole put
100%.
girl now, but like they will be forever on my playlist. My kids would listen
The
to that.
Yes. There's I just went out. So I'm like new to the city that I live in, and I just went out for drinks with somebody that I met before. So I travel for work. So I've been gone for the last like 6 weeks going to different cities. I was in Europe for about 10 days, came back, like it's been a whole thing. So I reached out to this lady and I was like, do you want to go get drinks? Like we had met once 6 weeks ago. Do you want to go get drinks? And she was like, yeah. So we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and our server, whose name is Jessica, is absolutely hilarious. Like big out there personality, adorable. She's got tattoos. So like the three of us just started bullshitting. And I kid you not, she drops the little bomb of, "Oh yeah, oh I love to travel. I'm just gonna go to England for the weekend." And we were like, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm going to a concert." What concert are you paying this much money to go to England for a weekend and then come back to Texas? Like what is happening? She's like, "Oh, I'm just going to go see this little band called Bring Me the Horizon." And I was like,
Excuse
"Are
me.
you fucking kidding me right now?" Like I have so many questions. She's so dope. And as soon as this episode releases, I'm going to send it to the two girls that I was with because we were just blown away. Like we're friends now. This is real.
Say the emo era of my life was one of the best eras.
For real.
It
That is
it had me
ingrained. That's a part of
survive.
my blood work.
Exactly. It had me survive the worst, the thick of it, but if without it, it created thick skin. I'm just gonna say that. It created thick skin.
Yes. Also, to me anyway, I have one of the best music tastes in the world. I listened to so many genres of music. So for literally any party that I go to, I'm gonna know whatever music that's there. That is being a little cocky, I will say, but because I have a niece also that she listens to music that I'm like, who the fuck? Like I've gotten to that, I've leveled up in life that I'm like, who the fuck? What is this trash music? Like what is happening? You can't understand anything they say. But then also I will listen to like new metal or heavy metal shit that you also can't listen, you can't understand anything they say. I can because I've read the lyrics so many times, they can't. So like I've now leveled up in life where I'm
You
at
know
that
what
point where I'm like,
screams mean
get off
what.
my lawn. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's so bad, but I'm not mad about it because I've also like I think that the kids that went through that like emo era and like how, you know, 30 years later I'm still listening to the same music, I don't care. I don't care. I love that about the life that I've lived.
I think it makes us I think back at that period and I know that I was going through some of the thick of it and my pre-teenager, teenager years and I realized that that's when I was really aware of a lot of things. The music helped me. There was no podcast at the time. But there was just it and I think that music, that particular music, even if it was like Flyleaf, Bring Me to the Horizon, anything. It was like that's why Supernatural is like very because that type of music is exactly what is portrayed in that show. And I think it was like
Yes.
you didn't know how to put your feelings out there. I still wear black every day if I could. My friends look at me and they're like, okay, Wednesday Adams. I was like, excuse me, I do not have color. This is like one of the things that I have color in my wardrobe. I was like, I love
Oh,
wearing black. Okay. You cannot go
yeah.
wrong with black. I don't know. I just felt like that period of my life just made me very resilient. I feel like if I had been an emo at college, it will be a total different story because I was more like a wild girl when I was in college. I did not have rules and did not have anybody to look over me. So it was like, but like
Oh yeah.
that music has really like get me through the thick of it. And I don't know, forever grateful for all those bands to have put those crazy songs out there because I
Yeah.
will still blast them in my car going to the gym.
100%. I am still like a huge Stained and Breaking Benjamin fan. And I
Yes.
went to a concert 2 years ago now in St. Louis, Missouri to see Breaking Benjamin and Stained. And it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
In
And then
October, there is 3 days grace in Houston. I have told my
I
partner,
love
it's
that.
like, if you want to take me somewhere, you can
That's where I
take
want
me
to
to
go.
that. He was like,
Hands
what is
down.
this band? Is like, you're going to hate it. You're not going to like it. I know because you don't listen to this music,
You're gonna hate it.
but you will heal my inner child. That's what I told
Correct.
him. He was like, okay, whatever. But
Good.
I was like, I don't, because if you ever been to Houston, because you say you live in Texas, some of my family lives there, but there's a park and they have an open amphitheater basically,
Yeah.
and it's
Yep.
in the park, and that's where the show is taken. I was like, the whole city is going to listen to this concert.
100%.
And I was
Also, it's
like,
October in Houston, so the weather will entirely be bearable. Houston right
exactly.
now, garbage. Ew.
I
Disgusting.
I have a love-hate relationship with Texas. The first time I went to Texas, I was coming from my little tiny island. I lived in an island for 9 years with my mom. My dad took me to Texas and my uncle took us to a restaurant. I saw the plate. I thought that we were feeding a family of 12.
Yes,
I was like,
100%.
it's just me.
What is happening?
I was 12 years old. I was like,
Yeah.
is just me. Where is
Yep.
this going? I ate a
Yep.
quarter of that plate. I don't know where the rest went, but I was like, and the scariest part when I was at that age was like seeing people walk with their guns. I was
Oh yeah.
like, to each their own, fair. But yes, no. I think I was like, when I moved here, I went to Texas. I was in boots, leggings, and I have a jacket. It was July. No, it was April. I got at the airport and I was like, I need to change.
It's
My aunt
so
took me
hot.
to the first store we went and I put on short. I was like, what is this? Why is it so humid? Is this
What is
Florida?
this?
Did we change states? What is
Oh,
happening?
I lived in Houston for 3 years, several years ago now, and I will never move back. I visit, I still have friends there. I work in Houston every now and then. I will never move back there. The humidity there is unreal. Anyway, yeah, I'm in West Texas now, and it is so stupid hot here too. And I mean, it's July, so obviously it's hot in Texas, but it's it's stupid hot here also. So thank God for air conditioning. And
Yes.
I'm spoiled in a sense of like I know that I'm about to go to Romania and Jordan also, and there is not a lot of air conditioning in either country. And I'm like, you know what? This is my third trip to Romania, and I'm so grateful. But like I don't give a shit about air conditioning when I get to experience another country, another culture. I get to go see my friends. I get to like Romania, there's going to be a couple parts of Romania that I haven't seen. And the last time that I was in Bucharest, we went to the beach and I broke one of my toes on the beach and it busted my nail. Like it's a whole joke with me and my friends, but like I want to go to the beach this time and perhaps not break a limb. Let's let's make that a goal, you know?
It's a very fair.
And then in Jordan, I know it's going to be crazy hot, but getting to go to Petra and Wadi Rum, and hopefully I get to go to the Dead Sea as well. Like I'm so unbelievably grateful for this life, and I guess I'm kind of circling back to the mental health piece of our conversation because I have one thing that I've always remembered about growing up is that I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to see the world. I've always wanted to experience other cultures and other languages and other people. And 30-year-old me is getting to do that. And I'm so like, it's really cool to see what the last 10 years of my life have summed up to. And I'm not done living. I'm not done traveling and exploring and experiencing. But like, I'm going to Jordan this year, guys. Like, there are people that I grew up with that have never left the country, that have never been to Canada. And I grew up pretty close to the border of Canada. And like, it's not that like life is about experiences. And I know that our circumstances, not everyone's circumstances allow for certain things, but I am beyond grateful. And I feel so lucky to have this trip. I leave tomorrow and I'm gone for 5 weeks. Like, see ya. And I'm not mad about it. It's bananas. So it's really cool to have conversations like this because podcasts, like I said, the technology and the internet has brought so many people together from so many different walks of life. And I know that, like, for our pod, we can record and post and do all the things uh, online for a podcast. And, you and I will stay in touch. You're my friend now. Hi, welcome. But like, it's such a cool world out there, and I'm really, really grateful that I can go and experience and explore it. It's an incredible place.
It's like looking back at the girl that was in the house that didn't have this, what you're giving yourself now,
Yes.
and looking back at her, like, I don't know if you have a particular memory of you when you were a kid that really struck down with you, and you're looking at her now and you're like, I'm giving you everything
Yes.
that I can, that we thought we'd never had.
Yeah. It's it is a really cool realization to come to an understanding with yourself that like I am kind of carving out this new life for myself, and it's really, it can be scary sometimes. I've completely changed careers in the last year, and I've added on another business. So something else that I do, the podcast is very like mental health friendly and is very like women supportive and very, we're both single, so we talk about dating and, that I'm not on the apps, thank God, but my co-host can, she gets on the apps every now and then immediately deletes them because it's terrible out there. But the other thing I do is it's sort of a worldwide business, but I help people with setting up their digital family estates. So like I know churches and I know families that have photographs that are just sitting in a box collecting dust somewhere. But like even my mom had a couple of albums of black and white photos from generations past that we are starting to digitize. So creating like that family, like legacy real estate piece where, life insurance and it's a morbid conversation to have, but like life insurance documents. And I've planned my entire funeral because I have 10 siblings. We live in many different states. My stepdad is still in Iowa and he lives by himself. And like, he's my only parent that's left. And like, I have my whole funeral planned so that if and when something happens to me, my family can log into my account and be like, here's the life insurance documents, here's the documents for my cell phone, my or my car loan, my insurance, all of those things. And the funeral is basically planned. They just have to figure out a location because I
I
haven't
th-
decided on that for myself.
I think
So,
it's a fair conversation. I sometimes, I don't know if it's the emo part of me, but I had so many conversations with people. I was like, if I'm lethargic or I'm old and I cannot even, I'm sorry for the bad words, wipe my own ass, take me to
correct.
Switzerland, euthanize me. My kids will not take care of me. My partner will not take care of me. I will not have my parents take care of me. I do not
Hmm.
want that burden into anybody.
Yep.
Not because I don't want the help, but because I do not, personal belief, I do not believe that anybody needs to take care of me because life is too short.
Yes.
And I think these conversations, I think like I may be wired a certain different way, but I just think that I see it because my mom does that with her mom and she goes and takes care of her. My grandma has dementia and she doesn't remember everything. And I know that my mom has this sense of nobility, but also I am the daughter, so I will show up. And I
Yep.
completely understand that. And I know that we had discussions with her where, before my grandma was put in a home, she was living with my mom. And I told her, like, this is a lot for you. You are already struggling health wise to take care of yourself because she has some health issues, but you are taking care of somebody else that needs full on care, which
Yeah.
one is not your job in a sense, but I understand the sense of like wanting to take care of somebody else. But I told her, you need help. And I think
Yeah.
it's that sense of like, but they're my parents. And I think it's that generational thing of like, I need to take care of them, but you're not equipped to take care of them. You might be the best person to be there for them, but you're not equipped to take care of them. And I always say that. I think I was like 15 years old. I had this conversation with my uncle, and he was like, okay, what do you need to do if I'm done? I was like, euthanize you. And one of his friends, we were having this conversation, and one of his friends was like, are you guys crazy? Why would you
No,
say this? I was like, why would you want somebody else to take care of you when you cannot even take care of yourself? And
correct.
I think like I went back to that a couple years ago when I went to like, I had started, we did not expect, but I ended up being pregnant and with infertility and we had a loss. And at the time, I was in my big change of like, I want to be more healthy in the sense of like, I want to change the way I live to a non toxic. So I started changing our pens, like our Tupperwares, like the food that we bought, little things because I deal with eczema when I moved here and it went
Mm,
crazy, like flare ups, like terrible, terrible. And I was like, okay, if it's not the skincare, if it's not the water, what else could it be? And I just
right.
went down the rabbit hole and hitting infertility just like make it this issue so much bigger. I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not putting myself through the ringer. I admire the women that have the ability to go through the ringer again. I am in awe of them because my heart was like, I'm once and done. Until I get there, I will not put myself through that again. And when I tell you I'm very hard on myself, 2 days after the hospital, I was like clothing myself to go back to work. My body's like, sit down, bitch. You're going back to bed. You're not going anywhere.
Correct. It
I was
sucks.
like,
It's a double-edged sword because you want to have the distraction of work or whatever it is, but also your body and your brain are fighting each other. And I'm
my
so
body would
sorry
tell
for
me
what you dealt with, Maria. I'm so sorry.
I appreciate it. I think I'm like more in the sense of like that's why I want to bring these conversations to people because people need to know about this. And that's why I'm saying I'm not in awe of women and more in awe of women that wants to become a mother because I know the struggle that it is. But also it's like I need to do the deep down work of figure out my hormones and figure out where I stand because I think as you said earlier, like you are unmedicated because you want to feel what's going on with yourself. And I think that we are in a society that we put women as like they're crazy, they're asking too much. Well, it's nothing. Like you could just get over it. I'm sorry. Is your body bleeding? I do not
That's
think so. So you
not
better
how that
shut up.
works. For sure.
And
For
I'm
sure, for
like,
sure.
my partner was like, whatever you want to do, I support you. And I was like, I want to figure out what's going on with my body. So I've been working
Mhm.
with a holistic doctor. And a lot of people is like, why would you go to a holistic doctor? Because a holistic doctor actually looking at the woman, the person, the human.
The
And I had
actual human
doctors
being.
they had doctors look at me like, it's nothing. I was diagnosed with PCOS, mild PCOS. Well, for years I was telling them that I had terrible pains, that I was going through it, even if it's not the whole days, but I had terrible pains. And every doctor
Right.
I saw was dismissing as like, it's nothing, it's nothing. But to say it's like what you're giving yourself now is everything and anything that your parents were not given
Yeah.
when you have the ability to make the decisions for you that other people cannot do because
Yeah.
they're either too emotional. And when I say this, it's like death is an emotional part of it. It's like nobody wants to take care of putting somebody in the ground. Nobody wants to take care
No.
of their house. Nobody wants to go through their things. But
Yep.
if you can help anybody in your family ease that burden, I applaud you because I think that a lot of people just dismiss it as I will deal when it happens. And I've seen it
Yeah.
happen so
I'll
many
deal
times
with
in
that
my
later.
family. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I've seen the heartbreak in it. And
It really is a brutal conversation to have with people because we I think as a society, for Americans anyway, there has been this need of things, of having physical things and being able to show off like how big our house is and how elaborate the things are that we spend money on. And I know that's a generalization, so I know somebody's going to get pissed off about that, but I also post divorce, I went through and I got rid of so much stuff because we had just collected stuff. And we were married for almost 10 years. And it's like we had a lifetime of things, that we had like collected and taken and purchased and whatever. And I got rid of so much stuff. And I realized like literally everything I own can fit in a small-ish storage unit. No furniture. I think, so the bed that I'm sleeping on, I live with some of my family because I travel so much for work. And so the bedroom that I'm in, the bed does not belong to me. Like I have a TV, I have a couple of shelves, I have a dresser that I bought after I moved in, but like I didn't have a dresser before now. I have some curtains and like, the crap that's like on the walls is like stuff that I've gotten from like previous jobs and stuff. And it's like tourism things. There's stuff from Egypt. There's stuff from Thailand. I collect currency from the job that I used to have. And now I bring currency home with me when I go to different places. So like all of this stuff is like little memories and things. If anything happens to me, I have a photo of the majority of these things along with like a little story in my account. But like, I don't expect any of my family or anyone to keep this stuff. If they want to, fucking fine. But I also don't expect that from anyone because all of these things are little memories and little like trinkets and stuff for me, not for anyone else. So yeah, like it is a brutal conversation to have just because there are things and places and items and memories that we collect over the years, but like what happens to those things if I were to no longer be on this earth as of next Friday? What happens to my memories? What happens to the photos on my phone? What happens to all of this stuff that I have? And admittedly, I don't even have a lot of stuff, but what happens to it? And then if you look at someone's life who has collected a lifetime of things. Like my sister's gonna feel really called out, and I don't mean it this way, but like my sister and my brother-in-law have a full house full of things, right? They have things in the garage. They have beautiful paintings and photos hung up all over the place, and it's really, really wonderful. But like, what's gonna happen to all of that stuff if anything happens to them? And there's not really a plan, and there's not really like a sense of urgency behind it. And again, they're healthy, they're living their best lives. They both have jobs, they both have lives, they both have things. So I'm not discounting that either, but like it's a tough conversation to have. So part of my business and what I do is to help people organize basically that digital estate so that they can, plan, not necessarily plan for your death, but like plan for what happens to the things if anything happens to you. Or, even this is a sad story, but like when I was 6, our house burned down and it was horrible. It was truly horrible. Two of my siblings passed away in the fire, and we lost literally everything. All the photos, all of the memories, the furniture, all of the like. We had 5 kids living under one house, so like the bunk beds we had to replace. We had to replace everything in the kitchen. We we had to replace all of the clothes, all of the toys, all of the crayons and paper, and all of the books and the movies and stuff. Like all of the things had to be replaced. And you don't realize how quickly something like that can happen and it's gone. Our entire house was gone in an afternoon. And it's like those, and I know it's a brutal conversation to have, but those are the kinds of things that I want to help families set up. The really cool thing about creating an account is it is permanent cloud storage. So right now, we rent storage from iTunes or from Apple, from Google, from Amazon, like whatever type of storage it is, you're literally renting it. There are definitely a couple of options out there for permanent cloud storage, or if you back everything up on a hard drive or whatever. But also, hard drives have been known to cut. Hard drives have been known to glitch, and then suddenly you can't get anything off of it. I've personally had it happen. Um, my mentor has had it happen to her. I know that I am guilty of putting things on Facebook albums and stuff, and I've had whole albums in Facebook completely disappear. And what if we get to a point that Facebook starts charging for storage too? It's very possible. So this type of thing is a brutal conversation to have. I know that a lot of people don't want to worry about what happens 50 years from now. But if something is set up for your grandkids and their grandkids, what if they have, what if it's year 2250 and they have pictures from 2026 completely stored and organized? So, yeah, it's
I'm sorry you had to go through that. I
that
can.
it is an unfortunate conversation to have. Like I was only 6 when it happened, so I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I have siblings that are years older than me that they have more severe memories about it. And it's brutal to think about. The twins would be 34 this year. 34? They would be 34 this year. And there's times that you go through memories and think about like, man, they're 34. Would we be friends? Would they like, and they had a really tight bond. They were twins. And you experience different things with twins who have, sort of like that connection between the two of them. Would they still be close? Would they live anywhere near each other? Would we live anywhere near each other? Like, what kind of jobs would they have and what kind of intellect would they carry around day to day? And I don't know. Sometimes I'm gonna cry again, but I like get into my head about it that I'm like, that's two whole ass people that like could have been really incredible. Like what if they became famous? What if they became an author? What if they became doctors? I don't it's yeah, it's hard. So, yeah, long story long, with tears involved, that's the other thing that I do outside of my corporate job where I travel for personal, I have a podcast, and then I run this digital estate business.
Do you feel that those losses, because there is no other word, and I'm sorry, and I have no words. I have lost family members, but I haven't been close at the time of the loss. I have feel the loss from afar, but I haven't been, and it's completely different because your brothers, your mother. Do you feel that those things have obviously they've impacted you, but brought the sense of I want other people to be prepared for this?
I 100%. I think that that definitely plays a role. I think the one of the great things and the terrible things about technology and smartphones is that it's too easy to snap photo after photo after photo, and who cares? It's saved in my phone. But like, what if you can't connect to your cloud storage anymore? Like, what if you have to change your password and your phone falls into the lake and they need some kind of verification from your phone and you can't get it? Like, I've just seen and experienced so many different horror stories that the people who lose those things really start to appreciate all of those things once it's already gone. And this is definitely a tool that can be used for generations past our particular lives, but also it's a permanent solution and not just a rented solution.
For sure. Thank you for sharing that because I can't imagine a lot of people are not prepared. I'm not even prepared. I always thought that I will
I
do everything that needs to do. Like I'm the one that organizes all our papers at home. I know where everything is. My partner
yeah.
is just like cruising along. He's like, "You have everything." I was like, "Yes, I do have everything." I think
And
it's
that's
just how a woman heads work.
yeah. But that's also the case in so many people's lives. Um, and like me, I'm single. Who's taking care of any of my stuff? Just me. And so especially with my mom's passing last year, just things that have happened with my family over the last 30 years, I would rather me personally, and other people might not feel this way, but me personally, I would rather have things done and planned as much as I can right now. And I'm healthy. I work out, I travel, I of course my motto in life is work hard, play hard. So like I have literally three different career paths that I'm working right now. I'm a menace to myself. So like I get it. But if anything happens to me, all my sister has to do is log in to the account and she can go right to my life insurance documents. She can go right to my like my wishes for my end of life process, if you will. I'm even a bit of a menace that I have the funeral program designed and typed out and saved in there in a PDF. Like
Just in
it's
case.
hilarious. Also, as we've talked about, I'm a music person and I have already designated two people to be in charge of the music and I have a playlist already started. So like I know that that's a little bit more into the weeds than like most people want to get into. But again, if anything happens to me, and this is a little cocky also, but kind of morbidly hilarious, I am amazing. And so the loss is going to be felt by my family and my friends. And so
Hey,
if anything happens, all my sister has to do is log into that account and boom, there's the majority of things that need to be handled. I have low debt. I have low credit card debt. Like I am pretty well set up. And so all they have to do is log into that account and just be like, all right, cool. Here's what we need, you know. Has a link to all my passwords. I even have a document in there of people for her to reach out to, which is going to be brutal. I apologize in advance, Dawn, but there's a list of people and phone numbers in there with like a short description of who this person is to me that she has to reach out to directly before posting anything on social media
I think
because it's important.
it's thinking about like how can I take, because we talk about it, like the mental load that women carry in itself on an
Yes.
everyday basis. Mothers, entrepreneurs, every type of woman. That's a lot of men don't realize, but some men do and do get. But it's taking the mental load of like, what do I need to do when she's not here anymore? What would she want it? Because you have that idea of what you would want or what
Yeah.
they would want, but it's a
Right.
speculation. It's not reality. It's not what the person
Yeah.
wants. You
Yep.
have taken that mental load completely of anybody. And I applaud you for that because that's my type of thinking. It's like, sorry to all the people that I love
No,
and
it's
watch this, but I do not want you, and that's why I said, like, just take me to Switzerland and euthanize me because it's the only
yeah.
country that does it. But it's also in the sense of like, I do not want to be, I don't like that word, but it's kind of like the only one I have in my brain at the moment. It's like, I don't want to be a burden for you to think of every little thing I would have wanted.
Yeah. I would also I'm going to take it a step further. I don't want my family to feel pressured because they're going to if it's me or if it's anyone else, whoever it is that is planning a funeral or planning services or dealing with probate paperwork and attorneys and estates and all of that stuff, the amount of pressure that is added to that person's life is obscene. It's obscene and
It's
people
a
don't really see
business.
it
It's
until
a
they're yeah,
business.
it's a racket. Especially okay, this is a side tangent that I would absolutely love to either have you on the show or me come back on the Bold Blueprint. But the funeral racket is it's a fucking racket. The funeral industry is absolutely maddening.
I always say, just like burn me up. Burn
For
me up
it's
and put me in
but
a tree.
even that,
I'm
Marie,
good.
even that, like funeral homes, I can't even start this conversation because one thing, my mother was cremated and they put her in a small plot in the ground. They did bury her. We still have the twins' ashes. So my mom and the twins were buried together last year, which was all, wow, I'm gonna cry. That was terrible. Anyway, when her urn and the twins' urn were lowered into the ground, they were put in this like semi heavy duty plastic tote. Okay. Guess how much a funeral home charges for a tote that fits two urns in it? Doesn't even have a divider. in it. It's just a tote for 2 urns.
$2,000?
$400 for just the tote. And
Jesus
then they had to
Christ.
buy a specific type of super glue to super glue the fucking lid to this thing because, ashes and stuff and the pieces of the urns, if anything were to be destroyed within this little thing, it had to also be contained within the actual little plastic tote. So they also charged for the super glue to go around. The funeral industry is a fucking racket. So anyway, I can feel my blood pressure just rising. Anyway, taking out the basically taking yourself out of the equation. Like I had an aunt that just passed away and she had dementia also. And it was brutal for the last few years to just kind of watch her deteriorate. And my uncle, who they had been married for 62 years when she passed away. It's crazy. Like their love is one for the books, right? Seeing him and the conflict, even just within our family, seeing the conflict within him about thank God she's gone because she's not trapped inside of her own head anymore. But also, why would I feel thank God that someone's dead? Like that's a terrible feeling, right? And so seeing that relief in my family, not watching this woman wither away, is also the same type of relief that I'm hoping to provide if anything happens to me and having that plan and that preparation in place. So, again, brutal conversation, but still a conversation worth having with your family members. I don't expect you to have that family member with like a 16-year-old, but
School or universities did really miss the hit with those. Like, I'm sorry.
yes,
I feel for everybody that went to the United States school system because America is a whole nother thing.
also a joke, but go ahead.
Ye-
Hmm.
A lot of people didn't learn anything. Didn't.
I went to school in Northeast Iowa. And anyway, do continue.
I had this conversation with my partner so many times. I was like, what did they teach you in school?
It's so bad. Anyway,
Because I've realized that a lot of people are more free periods than anything. And like it's by levels. We were all in the same boat. We will all had the same test. You didn't pass the year, you weren't back. I know a lot of things in the French system now have changed, but it was war when we went to school.
she,
We were there. I remember going to French school and I was there from 7:30 to sometimes 6 o'clock at night. My schedule was busier than somebody with a 9 to 5. I
whoa.
had more schoolwork than anybody I can think of. But to say is, I think, and this is a discussion when you want to have kids or when you're like just thinking of it. It's like, I always say to my partner, I think I would like my kids to be like in an international school or homeschool. He was like, would you homeschool them? I was like, I will be the grind. I will be the grind because I want to. You can learn so many things just to going with your parents if they have a business, showing them how to create their own business or going to a farm.
Yep.
My dream at this age of time is having a farm in the middle of freaking nowhere and just having a Highland cow, couple chickens,
Yeah.
and just living my best life in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
That I am manifesting that. My partner is like, I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. It's like, we will have a farm one day. I do not care.
You know what though? Even having like a homestead doesn't have to be that far out of town. Like you can
Exactly.
still kind of be in the middle of nowhere and your own little like 10-acre plot, but it'll be 10 minutes from Costco.
Exactly.
Like
It's like, I
it's
still got to Costco.
possible.
But I've been
Right.
in that sense of like, I am not dreaming of a big career or I am not dreaming of, I think like you're growing into that sense. And I think like that's what the messy middle is also is when you're like discovering yourself and you're actually working through the thick of it and you're seeing all those things that you did before and where you are now is like what really
Yep.
like calls out to you. I want to exercise. I want to eat well. When
Yes.
you see that the football team from, what is it, Norway brought their own fish, you know
Yes.
there is a problem with the food in the
You
US.
know. Yes.
and I am French and I am Ecuadorian. So for me, I didn't realize until I got into all my health issues, but those are really big things for me. Is like,
Yeah.
I want to live a life where I am not doing 100 things. Does not interest me. Doing a podcast, having conversations, putting those out there, but also being able to being a present woman or doing things that I love, going to the gym, working out, or
Music.
listening to
Concerts.
music, watching a show, going
Yes.
to a concert. It's like I was listening to this podcast as like it's saying women are not built like men. Yes, we are great entrepreneurs. We are great working at ass off type of archetypes. But
Yep.
we are also made to live differently. We are not made for the grind 24/7. There is amazing women out there that would build on 24/7. Very grateful for them because they have paved path. But there's other women like me. I just want to be paid to be me. I am
Yes.
great at a lot of things. I speak 3 languages. My dad is like, "Why are you still in construction?" I was like, "Because it's difficult out here, okay? I've I've been trying, sir.
Correct.
I have been trying." But it's like I am at the point I was like, I just want to live a life that reflects what I am. I don't want a penthouse. Love to have a penthouse by New York in like
Sure.
Central
But I don't want
Park.
to pay for that. That's bananas.
But that is insane. I prefer to
Yes.
have 10 acres of land, having a tiny ass house or like couple rooms in there, and having so much land that I can lay in the grass and watch the sunset and watch the
100%.
sunrise. Like, I want
Yep.
to fill my cup with good things. And I think it's also like that is the fact of having this type of conversations, is realizing where you started
Yeah.
and where you're trying to go. Like
Yeah.
the path may have not been all paved. There was so many roadblocks on it, but you were able to
100%.
get to somewhere that you found music again and you heal so hard that you can sing in the shower again and you're not caring if somebody else hears you or not. You're finding things that actually lights you up. You're having conversations, you're finding friends, you're traveling. And I think that
Definitely.
also this fact of figuring out who you are. And I think like I have been in that overwhelming sense of like, I am terrible at social media. I have been trying, but goddamn, I am no influencer. I know that a lot of people say like,
Same.
put yourself out there, put yourself out there. It's like, I would love to get paid to be me, but I am no influencer. I have my friends tell me, you're great at speaking. I was like, I can barely film myself 60 seconds to just put it on TikTok, okay? Give me a break. But Sarah, this was great. I think like we hit a lot of things and
Oh my
hopefully I
gosh.
can have
Yeah.
you back on the podcast and we can go a little deeper. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Absolutely. And you sharing as well. It's not easy to talk about when you're talking about loss and you're talking about your own body things that you're experiencing and going through and like trying to navigate. It's not easy.
I think it's like when you start healing and you start sharing. I was talking to one of my friends about this, is like shame thrives in isolation. And I think like when you go to therapy and you're actually starting to do the work and you start to actually putting out there everything that you live through, it gets
Hmm.
easier. And that's exactly why this exists. I have to do a solo episode, but it's also like putting yourself in that situations like you would want to have somebody tell you what they went through so you can relate and you can know that you're not alone in that situation. So
100%.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your story and giving me some of your tears because I know it's not easy to put yourself in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
appreciate that.
definitely a crier, but man, I hate it. Like, oh, I'm gonna like kick myself in a couple hours. Like, God, Sarah, you can't just keep the tears in for one day. No,
I
brutal.
said that sometimes, like when I'm in my luteal phase and I got into it, I was like, I just look for a show that I know I'm gonna cry because I just let it out and I cannot pick a fight every time
Yes.
with my boyfriend. And I'm like, what
Right.
movie made you cry lately? Like, what is it? John F. Kennedy and Carolyn Bessette.
Oh,
Who? I, I
wow.
was bawling. I was
Oh god.
bawling.
Oh
I
my
did
gosh.
not expect that, but I was bawling. Like, I know that there's a lot of controversy, and I'm so sorry for the family, the Kennedy family, that they have to go through that because I cannot imagine. I didn't know their story. But the actors game in the last episode, Oscars, because I was
Wow.
bawling my eyes out. I am a crier too, but I'm like, I will be like, I- I'm just gonna watch something. I'm gonna cry. My my partner's grandma was looking at me and was like, "You're okay?" I was like, "No, I'm on my lucho face. I'll be fine
I'm
tomorrow."
absolutely fine. And you're just bawling, just
It's just
makeup coming
normal.
down. I'm totally fine.
Yes, it's. I've realized that you have to be in tune with your emotions because, like, when you're a kid, I don't know, a lot of the times you were oppressed, so like you could not be this emotional or like. I
Yep.
remember parts of it that why did I have to go through that? And like I can remember me crying, like it was dawn of times. And I remember that and I was like, I can self-regulate myself, so I'm gonna see somebody die on TV so I can cry.
Yeah. I just need to feel the emotion, even though you're watching a fictional show with actors, even if it's not fictional, but you're still watching a show with actors, going through an emotion that is basically geared towards making someone feel emotional. So it's sort of a mind game that you play with yourself. I do the same thing, but I use Grey's Anatomy for that. And I've seen Grey's Anatomy, I don't know how many times over and over again. And it's still live, right? It's on like 21st season or something like that. I have
I
not
have
gotten that
stopped.
far.
I
Have
have
you?
stopped.
I think I've made it through like season 16 or 17, but I've rewatched the first like 11 seasons five, six, seven times. I probably more than that if we're being honest.
I would die on
But
the
that
hill
show, I know,
that the
makes me cry
beginning
every
of
time.
Grey's Anatomy is the best.
It
And at
is.
some point, after Christina and Derek left, it was the
Or died.
end. God damn it, Derek.
That
That
is
was it.
so brutal. I swear to God, me being single, if I ever find my Derek Shepherd, that's it. Like that's what I need.
I won the post-it. That's all I ever wanted.
Yes. Yes. Oh my
That
gosh.
Sarah, thank you so much for being on the Bold Blueprint. I appreciate you. Where can we find you?
Oh man. My personal Facebook is usually the way to go for like all things podcast and business related. But I mean, the podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. It's Audible. It's in all of the places that we hope that you need it in. And the From Moments to Forever business, I am available worldwide and in most time zones. So
And the podcast
yeah,
is called Living
it's called
Understaffed.
living understaffed. Yep. Like I myself am understaffed at this time, which is factual every single day. So
Sarah, thank you so much. And for everybody else, we will see you next Monday. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Bold Blueprint. If you enjoy or connected with this episode, I would love for you to like, comment, and rate the show. If you thought of someone during this episode, follow your gut and share it with them. That's how we can reach the person that needs this conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the episode, and I will see you here next Monday.